So let's talk more about the alternative asset class and sneakers being that, right? Because I read on your tweet today where it said since September 2020 to March today, well it's April now, but to March 2021. So if anyone knows the S&P 500, that's the index that tracks 500 of the US biggest companies, and typically people can put their money in just one stock that does it. And you said that they gave a 12.65% gain.
Yeah.
Now the PUSHAS sneaker fund gave investors a return of 32% gain.
Yeah, so
let's talk about that, man. That's what I'm really interested in. And I think a lot of people who are trying to find different alternative assets besides stocks, besides crypto, besides real estate, this is something that they can put in from an entry level point of view, right? So
yeah.
let's can you walk me through what's that all about, and can you what's the concept of that?
Yeah, so right now, how it started was I needed capital to really buy sneakers. And, I was lucky because I had a couple of investors that, one of the biggest angels investors in Australia, like they really believed in us.
Yeah.
And they were just like, here's some money to try it, right? So at first, we raised 210 grand. It was just a small amount just to test it. But then, the first 2 or 3 months, it was just booming. And I was able to really systematically provide great returns on a risk-adjusted basis as well. So, the sneakers that we invest in, it's diversified. Yeah. So it's not like I'm buying one sneaker and, that can go to zero. Our portfolio is a wide range of sneakers.
How many sneakers you got so far?
I'd say it's like probably about like 3,000 sneakers now.
3,000 sneakers.
And then, it went quite well. And then we raised another 300 on top. So now we raised a total of 510K. And the goal is just to provide exposure to an alternate asset that's not stocks, not bonds, not debt. And it's a lot of investors that they want to hedge their portfolio, right? Yeah. And, because, let's look at the markets right now, right? It's a crazy bull market, and you don't want to be all in if you know that there might be drawdowns, etc. So, my idea, and right now it's only available to sophisticated investors who are able to take a risk on a financial product like this, but essentially, down the line, I want to be able to provide access to everyone to have exposure.
Yeah.
And, I want to run like a Vanguard or a BlackRock, right? For sneakers. And so you can buy like an index fund and you're exposed to like thousands of sneakers.
Yeah.
And hopefully we were able to provide a good return.
So essentially, so you guys are actually looking into an ETF in the future? Like, it's going to be listed in the ASX or something like that?
That's definitely on the cards,
yeah.
right? But it's just fine tuning it and getting it to a point. Because right now, the way we run it, it's quite still private and there's no kind of regulatory oversight yet. Because a lot of these investors can take the risk, so they don't need kind of the I guess the proper kind of ASX style reporting, but that's because it's also on us. Like if I had to incur that cost at this moment, it will cost too much, right?
Yeah.
And to get us through, right, like lawyers and accountants, like we have a small team of lawyers and accountants right now, but to get it to that level, it's quite high.
Yeah.
And so we want to get the volume up and get the funds under management up higher, so that we can then start to have the infrastructure to do it. And I've been approached by a couple of hedge funds that biggest in Australia, a couple of guys, and they're like, if this works out, we can scale it up and actually get it to a point.
And how many assets under management you doing right now?
If you did the numbers, using the growth rate, you can probably figure it out. That rate on 510K, like you can figure it out.
So right now, so you initially managed 510K, and then it times that now after you release those numbers. That's the return, man. That's what we're talking about, man.
I can't really disclose that, but that's roughly if you can figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. And okay, and obviously, just a little bit before we just to backtrack a bit, we mentioned that volume is the game for resellers. Yep. Right, they acquire, and the more volume they pump out through guys like you, PUSHAS, and then they can make a cut out of that. Now, this sneaker asset class, this sneaker fund that you got going on, it's more? Are you guys holding these? How do you guys invest in these sneakers? Like, do you guys just buy these sneakers and then you hold it? Like, when you say 3,000, like, what do you mean by that?
So we buy and we hold it.
Yeah.
So we buy, we store, we hold, and then once it sells, that gives you realized gains. and it sells, and then that goes back into the fund, and then we reinvest it again.
Yeah.
It's like reinvesting dividends, for example. So it just keeps growing and growing and growing over time, and hopefully it gets to a point where it gets to the goal is we're going to hit 7 figures quite soon. So the goal is to get to 8 figures, 9 figures, and then it's a proper fund, right?